But what about the land of Mitzrayim, or Egypt, as it is called in the King James Version? What clues in Scripture can give us a definitive description of Egypt? The Nile is a stream, not a specific river, but the river of today is a river that many people think is somehow mentioned as a specific river in the Bible. It is not. The Nile is a Greek translation that changed the word Nile into a proper noun, in which it is abundantly clear it is not. In occasion after occasion, the word Nile was changed from its true form and meaning. An initial mention of a river associated with Egypt in Genesis is in Genesis 15:18, when Abram is given through covenant the land in its most simple context, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates, neither of which is the Nile, because, as we have already established, the Nile is an improper noun. Again, we look at Isaiah chapter 19 in multiple translations and contexts. The mouth of the Nile is the Egyptian Sea. This major contradiction in biblical geography cannot be explained away by just changing the root meaning of the word Nile from an improper noun to a proper noun. Any biblical scholar will tell you that this is the same river mentioned by name throughout the Greek translations of Scripture, but that same scholar cannot properly reconcile the problem with its literal inconsistencies. Most biblical scholars put the Sea of Egypt as the Red Sea. In doing this, they must be creative in order to make these landmarks fit into their proposed geographical templates. What ultimately happens is the truth spirals down the open air latrine of heathenistic nonsense. In order for this nonsense to fit their templates, words, names, and meanings must be translated completely out of context. For example, if most academic scholars put the Egyptian Sea as the Red Sea, then where is the Red Sea? How does one account for that? Even by naming the sea different names, one is still left with a major hole in their theory. The mouth of the Nile isn't at the Red Sea either. So whichever body of water they use to indicate as the Egyptian Sea, neither fits. More evidence, their information is manufactured to promote false geography. The mouth of the Nile is the Mediterranean Sea, which is represented by neither the Red Sea or the Mediterranean. According to scholars, the Mediterranean Sea was labeled as the Great Sea, recognized as the largest body of water on Earth. According to the top Egyptologists, the pyramids were built over 4,000 years ago using the metric system. But according to the world historical narrative, the metric system was discovered by the French in 1798, the same year Napoleon invaded Egypt. Do we assume that this unit of measurement was lost and never used again for 4,000 years? Or did the French rediscover the system and take credit for the creation? Nonetheless, the chronological and historical parallels between Napoleon's invasion of Egypt and the French and British participation of the Louisiana Purchase are undeniable. One of the most important supposed discoveries of Napoleon's invasion was the discovery of the Rosetta Stone. Some historians say this is what the entire field of Egyptology is set upon. However, today the stone sits in London at the British Museum because the French eventually lost to the British in 1801 at the capitulation of Alexandria, and the British took the stone along with other relics and possessed them unto this day. What are the chances that the British and the French are being truthful about Egyptian history? According to the historical narrative, 3 types of script are found on the giant Rosetta Stone: Greek, Demotic, and hieroglyphic. Until this point, no one could even understand Egyptian hieroglyphic. The stone reads Ptolemy as the acting pharaoh during the commission of the rock, making this stone Ptolemaic in origin, thus not authentically Egyptian. The Ptolemies were not Egyptian, they were Greek. This family came into power after the death of Alexander and the subsequent division of his kingdom. As mentioned earlier, the Seleucid kingdom reigned in Syria, and the Ptolemaic kingdom ruled Egypt. The Seleucids were kings of the north, and the Ptolemies were the kings of the south. Egypt fell to Rome under the Ptolemies after the death of Cleopatra, who was also a Ptolemy, aka Greco-Roman. There were multiple Ptolemies and multiple Cleopatras, none of which were Egyptian. These were titles. Outsiders ruling a land in which the well-being of the people was of no concern, milking the land for its riches and using those riches to build elaborate palaces and monuments to themselves and to gods. Much history was lost under the reign of the Ptolemies, as many of the original texts were translated to Greek and hieroglyphic was repackaged with the Ptolemaic seal of secrecy. Even the mythology surrounding ancient Egypt is fundamentally Greek. Fact: until Napoleon's invasion in 1798, ancient Egypt as we know it did not exist. This area had previously been a post-Caliphate Ottoman Islamic province. and even prior to that, a Byzantine Roman province. And even before that, it was a Roman province. It bordered 3.5 oceans, as evident by their ever-changing maps and views of the world according to the caves. On the Strabo and Ptolemy maps, places that could be easily traveled on foot were completely covered by oceans, which presents an interesting thought. Was that side of the world completely covered with water? And 95% of continental Africa did not exist? Or are these maps purposely deceptive? Either way, the more we learn about their story, the less we can trust.
But these astonishing numbers only work in meters. The length of the meter depends on a precise calculation of the circumference of the Earth, and that was only defined in 1793.
The meter and the dimensions of the pyramid are based off the circumference of the Earth. The ball and the pyramid are tied together. The pyramid and the ball and the pyramid, Finkel and Einhorn, Einhorn and Finkel. The ball and the pyramid are tied together. The day of the Geechee is over. The day of the Geechee is over.
Several centuries has wandered in the...
Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Shout out UBTV. Let me know in the comments what y'all thought and if I should keep making these compilations.